Who here has been within 10 meters of a grenade going off? Did you know whose it was? What kind it was, any chance? Huh? Pineapple grenades actually aren't that bad because the nature of that design and the way it lays, the blast actually tends to be, the reaction when it explodes tends to push it up. So, and this may be useful to you someday. It works for me. When a grenade hits and you're yelling grenade and you're not going to run over and get it, you turn, you take 3 steps, you go to the ground, you draw in, you tighten your sphincter while you still have one, and you put your feet together. The vast majority of the time you will walk away. You'll walk away. When I say 3 steps, I mean 3. Don't be vertical when that thing goes off, because that blast is going to go like that. I'm not saying you may not catch a piece or you may not get something of it. You very well may, but the probability, this is common military knowledge. Grenade, 1, 2, 3, and dive, and go down and ball up. Then get the hell up and get ready for who's coming in behind the grenade. If it is a modern grenade, like a baseball grenade, this has a fragmentation shell, meaning the actual shell of the grenade is the wound-producing agent. Modern grenades have a coiled spring inside that's cut up into got little serrations on it, so it comes out in little pieces about that long. And what they do, that's a different story. There's 2 reasons for the ball. One, you throw it like a baseball. The second is, because it is more rounded, you get a lower blast effect. So what would be the reaction to that? Exactly the same, because that's the only damn thing you can do. Now what it means is, you're going to get your feet peppered up big time, and pieces in your butt. But all your main arteries and everything else, hopefully, you can still walk away from it. A grenade going off here to the wall, it is only a death sentence if you're vertical. Okay, that's enough of that. I bought some armor plate and some armor. Now let's get back to weapons. Who out here uses your, I don't want you to reveal your secrets. You don't want to raise your hand or something, but please feel free to give a little input here. Let's say you're at your retreat and there's some bad guys down there, and there's a lot of them. Do you run and get your trusty bolt-action deer rifle, and you line up with your scope and you start knocking them off? This is an extreme situation we're talking about. I would say yes, that's a good idea. If they're at a range and your weapon is zeroed, there's not too many things in between you, and you can engage them at a distance. We won't get into the tactics. That would be a viable situation for a bolt action. The other use for a bolt action would be, as those who come to Mother class heard, somebody running out of the house and get to the sniper position, of course. We got soldiers here. Any non-guy been in a firefight? How many rounds does a normal guy expend, say, in a fairly brief firefight? 100, 300, 500, 1,000. Any experience with it? Every damn bullet you got until you can get more. Speak up.
Less than 10 initially, and then I started carrying the assault. Then it was in the thousands.
Then it's in the thousands. A regular infantryman, you got to figure 500 rounds. That's your basic load. If you're not carrying 500 rounds, you may not go home that night. you will burn through it. You will burn through it. You will burn through it. You must burn through it. You cannot burn through 500 rounds. You got me? There's a certain limit to the number of opponents you can engage with a bolt action. A semi-auto that does not have a large magazine capacity, you should seriously consider that. Now, what does that do? That puts us with ARs and AKs as two categories. And the 308s, if you're doing an AR-10, how many rounds can you carry a 308? A lot less. Base close 180 rounds. If you are humping some rounds, 12 magazines of 20. That's a load. And then plus 20 in your weapon. 260 rounds. I would submit, though, that they're extremely effective if you do get them. A 308 speaks with authority. If you are dealing with flesh, then a 5.56, that little one, is more than adequate. However, if that flesh is inside a vehicle, you need something with a little weight. The 55 grain is lacking. The 62 grain with the green tip is a better selection. Do you have to have all expensive green tip in your stash? No. You gotta have some. An AK round's a better round dealing with vehicles because of the weight of the bullet. It will penetrate, it will do damage, and it will go out the other side. It's an intermediate round, carrying a lot of them. If I met a guy and he was saying, well, gee, I think I'll start prepping. I got all this food and I got this, but I don't have any guns. I think I ought to have a gun of the large magazine capacity. I wouldn't necessarily tell him an AK, but I would tell him a 7.62 39 if he's just going to buy one. Why? One, $220 for 1,000 rounds. Half. Extremely effective at our likely engagement ranges of 300 meters or less. There are some high quality guns to fire at. A Ruger Mini 30. Works like a champ in that. An SKS. 10 rounds at a stripper clip. That ain't a magazine. SKS is a much better weapon than an AK. An AK has a short sight radius, open sight, front sight post. I don't like any of the open sights. I don't know why the Russians do it. I'm married to a Russian. I don't even know why I'm married. Yeah, I do. Watch it. An SKS has a longer sight radius and has a different locking system. An AK is a tractor. It will fire no matter what unless you bend that upper gas tube. You know the gas tube on top? Give that a nice little whack with a wrench. That's how you stop an AK. Because that gas piston won't work anymore. Other than that, you can bend the barrel and shoot around corners because it just don't care. But it is inherently inaccurate as hell. It wasn't designed for more than 300 meters. An SKS, on the other hand, and I've put it in a good stock, and then there's a peep sight arrangement. You take off the leaf sight, and there's a peep sight that comes to the back, like an M1. Oh, man. Now we're talking about reaching out and touching. How many of you guys, here we go, let's digress again. Trivia question. How many of you guys know why peep sights, the little disc with a hole in it, is used in American weapons? Any speculation? Yes, it makes me shoot better. Okay, anything besides that? Man, I ain't got anybody willing to speak up and say, well, the angstrom of the whatever. All right, I'll tell you exactly why. In ancient, I'm going to go back to ancient times. You know that guy when he was working on Stradivarius violins, and he's getting old, and they didn't have glass lenses. You know what they used? They used a little glass with a little teeny little pinhole in it. Because a pinhole has an infinite focus. Meaning, if you're nearsighted, you can actually test it by doing this to a certain degree. But if you look through a clean, not a fuzzy pinhole, you'll be clear, he'll be clear, and out in that, those bushes out there will be clear. That's what a pinhole, it's called a pinhole lens. That's how they used to take pictures without lenses. That's why. That's why it's there. Because you're looking through that little pinhole, and old guys like me, if I'm looking through, looking down a Glock, I'm doing the Braille method for shooting at these guys. I have discovered fire sights, the plastic, I can put one fuzzy green ball in between two fuzzy orange balls and hit the target. But that peep sight with iron sights allows you to shoot out there and hit stuff. When you put that on an SKS or something, you vastly increase the capability of that weapon.